Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be going over is Aaron Judge's historic season for the New York Yankees. After that, going over the recent news that JT Realmuto is going to be out for a significant time with a knee injury. Then going over Salvador Perez's resurgent season with the Royals, Robert Gatzer's injury with the Brewers, and going over the most overrated players poll that was just released by The Athletic. Now, before we do that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show for today. All right, so we're going to get into it. As I first talked about, our first segment is going to be about who else other than the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Judge. Now, we all know who Aaron Judge is. Obviously, I mean, if you're watching this podcast and you don't know who Aaron Judge is, either you're getting into baseball and welcome, or I don't really know what rock you're living under, but yeah. So Judge, of course, always has amazing seasons. I mean, that's just who he is. He's an MVP candidate year in, year out. There's a reason why the Yankees gave him the contract that he got, but this year he's really taken it to a whole new height. Now, usually I would say that for any other player, but again, for Judge, this is kind of normal. I mean, we saw it back in 22, how great he was in that contract year with all the pressure on him, setting the record for American League home runs. So, yeah, I mean, this is just normal for Judge, but this year has just been absolutely incredible. So far, he has a weighted runs created plus of 215, which, as I've said before, so weighted runs created plus is my personal favorite hitting statistic. It's an advanced statistic, quote unquote, but it's really not that advanced. Really, it's just an all-encompassing hitting stat that takes into account everything, all factors, including ballpark, and, all sorts of things. So if, you're a little bit wary on Judge because he plays in Yankee Stadium, this stat kind of disproves that. So 100 is league average. He is at 215 right now. So he's 115 better, 115% better than any hitter in this league, than the average hitter in this league. So yeah, that's really, really good. His walk-to-K ratio is also great with 0.75. It's at 18. His K percentage is 24, so it's really not that big of a discrepancy. You look at his ISO, it's almost at 400, which is absolutely insane. And he has an isolated power line of 0.397. That's absolutely incredible. His BABIP is a little high, but he just hits the ball so hard. I don't really see a big problem with that. And his WOBA is at 472. He's just insane. Max exit velocity is 116. Barrel percentage is at 29%, which is up 2% from last year. Hard hit percentage is somehow down at 63%, just showing how insane of a hitter Aaron Judge is. I mean, this is a player that we have to look at and step back one day and say, wow, I'm watching this guy in his prime. This is a player I'm going to tell my kids about and their kids about. This is that type of player. This is a generational type player. He's a no-doubt Hall of Famer whenever he retires in 10 years or something. Already one of the greatest players in baseball history, I'd say, and just is having another amazing season. Just truly incredible how he does this year in and year out. And yeah, you're seeing the impact on the Yankees this year already. Of course, when you're having these kind of numbers, you're going to help your team. I mean, fairly obvious. You have any type of good numbers, you're helping your team. But just the way he's been able to carry this offense year in and year out has really been incredible. I mean, even looking at 2022 and 2023, when the offenses weren't the greatest for Judge, when the offenses weren't the greatest for the Yankees, Judge was still able to carry them. Judge was able to kind of put them on his back, hitting second, third, fourth, wherever he would, and just hit the ball and be consistent for this team. Even last year when he was hurt, and when he came back and was still dealing with injury, he was still doing well. So just a generational type player, and for this year as well. Outside of Juan Soto, outside of Juan Soto and Anthony Volpe, this Yankees offense hasn't been the greatest. I mean, you've had some nice contributions from Austin Wells, Alex Verdugo, but really it's been Soto, Judge, and Volpe as the three main guys. And Soto and Judge, mainly Judge as well. The segment's about Judge. Judge has just took this team on his back when the offense isn't doing the greatest and just really, really helped them out. I mean, he's doing so incredible. Yankees fans should be lucky every single day that they have him. I don't know where they would be without him. And yeah, with him on the team, it allows you to get a player like a Juan Soto. Because if you're getting Juan Soto and you're just having him in your offense, it's probably not going to be great. But because you have Judge there, because you have the superstar, you're able to deflect with this offense. You're able to have a 2-3 punch or a 3-4 punch of Judge and Soto. These guys hitting back to back, and they're able to play off each other. And at this point, Soto and Judge, if Soto stays around, this might be the greatest duo in baseball history, just hitting wise. I mean, the way these two guys hit the baseball, have plate appearances, fight out the pitcher just with these at bats, have amazing at bats, is truly incredible. I mean, we've already saw comparisons to Gehrig and Ruth and other amazing duos as well. But man, they are just incredible. The way they play off each other, the chemistry they have, just how good they are is really just something to marvel at. And yeah, this team with Judge is just truly incredible. Adding Soto was the cherry on top. And I'm glad for him that he finally doesn't have to carry the team on his back. I mean, you saw yesterday he had a rare day off, and they beat a really good Royals team still 4-1. So overall, Judge is just having an insane season. The impact on the Yankees is huge, and yeah, he's just such an incredible player that, again, I'll be telling my kids about, they'll be telling their kids about, and just a generational type player that I think one day us as baseball fans have to kind of take a step back and say, wow, we get to watch this guy in his prime. We get to watch this guy when he's mashing baseballs like this. Truly incredible. And before I had this show, of course, I only started doing this show around the top of the year. I kind of thought I wasn't a big fan of that Judge contract, to be perfectly honest with you. Seeing how long it was, either 9 or 10 years, the insane AAV, my personal thought process was, okay, Judge just going to get worse and worse every single year. And that wasn't because I thought Judge was a bad player. It wasn't because I thought he had no work ethic or something like that. I just thought naturally, because of his body, because of who he is, he's going to get worse every year. You look at how big he is just as a guy. I mean, he's like, 6'8", 300, something like that, something crazy. Used to be a tight end in football. Just is absolutely insane. And you don't really see baseball players like that. And my thought process was, okay, this is a guy who's known for his defense, so he's going to continue to play in the outfield, and his body's just going to wear down over the years because of the injuries he's had, because of just him being himself with the way he is. He's just gonna get torn down. And I thought this contract wouldn't age well. I understood why they gave it, because you can't set the AL home run record and then have a franchise as historic as the New York Yankees for giving out money, not pay him. You just can't do that. So I understood why they did it, and I don't disagree with it, but I did not think it would age the greatest, and he's done amazing so far. He's showing no signs of stopping and really has proven me wrong. So yeah, this contract looks to be absolutely incredible, even with the AAV. It'll be very, very interesting to see how it does affect Juan Soto this offseason when trying to get a contract essential from the Yankees. Not just with him wanting to, not just with the Yankees trying to give him the least money as possible because they have this Judge contract on the books. But is Soto going to want more than Judge? And if he does, is that going to make Judge feel a type of way? Is there going to be some kind of disagreement within these two things? And is that going to play a part in Juan Soto's free agency? I mean, when you're talking about Judge at this point, you have to talk about Soto. And I mean, Soto is going to have bids like never seen before. Again, in the end, I just don't think many teams can afford Soto. And looking at it right now, if I had to give a preliminary guess, I'd say it's going to come down to a three-way bid of the Cubs, the Mets, and the Yankees. I think those three teams have clear needs for Soto and also have the money available, being a big market, that are also very attracted to Soto. I think those three teams make the most sense. Now, we're a long ways away from that. We'll see. But if Soto is just going to take the most money and not take into account what team he's going towards, of course it's going to take into account a little bit, but if the main thing for him is setting a contract record and getting as much money as he can, which, by the way, all for that, go get your money, you earned it, is that going to play effect on the Yankees? Is that going to make Judge feel a type of way, having Soto get more money than him? Are the Yankees going to want to pay Soto all this money with all the other amazing contracts on their book as well, like Stanton, like Cole, like Rodon, like LeMahieu? So it'll be very interesting to see, and that's something to watch. But overall, this Yankees team is absolutely insane. Best team in baseball right now. Again, I've said this before, when Cole went down, I was very skittish on the Yankees. I thought, okay, maybe this isn't their year with the pitching they've had, and maybe, maybe they'll just try to use this year as a Soto tryout, but no, the pitching has really bounced back even without Cole. The offense has been absolutely amazing. Soto and Judge have been everything we expected and much, much more. So, yeah, this Yankees team is absolutely incredible. Best team in the league right now, and it's an honor to watch Aaron Judge every day, especially being from New York as myself. I get the Yankees on cable, can watch them whenever I want, and it's so exciting just to watch this guy play. Whenever he's at bat, it's much to see television. And yeah, what a great season he's having. I wish I could say it's a shocker for us, but it's not. This is just what he does every single year when he's not getting a freak injury. So that is our first segment for today, talking about Aaron Judge and his pretty historic season for the Yankees so far. We'll be going to our second segment, which is going to be talking about JT Realmuto and his injury for the Philadelphia Phillies. This was something that was actually announced about an hour before I went on stream, so kind of had to make some adjustments to my playbook for today and add it in as my second segment. Pretty significant news. So yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so we'll be talking about our second segment. Oops, sorry about that. That was my alarm for the last segment. Forgot to turn it off. We're going to our second segment, which is going to be talking about JT Realmuto and him undergoing knee surgery today and being out for a significant amount of time, it looks like. So yeah, let's get into it. So around an hour before my stream, I'd say, I got this notification that JT Realmuto would be out for a significant amount of time with really no timetable with a knee injury and will be undergoing surgery. Now, this came as a really big shock to me as I hadn't heard anything about a potential JT Realmuto injury. I mean, I just watched the Mets-Phillies series in London and Realmuto looked fine. Didn't really look to be ailing from anything. There was no report to that. So really came down as a little shocking and kind of out of nowhere. But I guess good props to the Phillies for being able to hide this for that long. That's a sign of a good organization, not letting these kind of serious things that should be kept in-house leak. So good job for them. But yeah, I mean, it's looking at the actual press release of Realmuto, it's very ominous and kind of just not direct. So, right here it says he is on only 10-day IL with right knee pain, and then is scheduled to undergo right knee something surgery tomorrow in Philadelphia. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's on the Phillies Twitter account if you want to look at that. But yeah, very non-specific right knee pain going on the IL with that. So it seems like it's kind of a serious injury that they don't know exactly what it is. It's just kind of a general knee injury. And it's looking like he's going to be out for a long time. I'm not sure if it's the rest of the season, but it's a significant amount of time, enough to maybe think that it might be the rest of the season. So really the impact on the Phillies here is pretty significant. I mean, you look at Realmuto's stats, first of all. This is a guy who this year has a 105 weighted runs created plus. His WOBA was very good. His ISO isn't the greatest, but that's not exactly what you're looking for. His walk-to-K ratio isn't great, actually, this year. He's kind of fallen down on the walks things, but that wasn't really what he was known for. But His barrel percentage stayed around the same as last year. Hard hit percentage is way up from last year, so it was having a really good season. And the thing about Realmuto is he's a catcher, so his value is going to go way beyond the stat sheet and way beyond what his numbers say. When you're a veteran catcher like Realmuto, you bring so much value to a team. First of all, he's an amazing defender. I mean, he throws out runners very well, he blocks balls very well, and also with that, he's a great framer. I mean, framing is so valuable nowadays. We'll see if it's valuable in 2 to 3 years when the robo umpires come in, but right now it's an extremely valuable trait that all catchers have to have. All teams know this, and Realmuto is one of the best in the business with it. I think that he brings a lot of value in that way. And also, knowing the pitching staff. That's something that I think is very underrated with catchers. They have such a rapport with these pitchers on the pitching staff. They know what to throw. They know, in this certain count, we like to throw this. When you put the fingers down, it might be a little bit of a code so people aren't stealing our signs, but we know what it is. Having a pitcher-catcher rapport is such a valuable thing. And Realmuto being with the Phillies for the number of years now, being with the same pitchers for these years. I mean, Wheeler's been there for a long time. So was Nola. Taijuan Walker's been there for 2 years now. Ranger Suarez has been there for a significant amount of time as well. So he has a good amount of rapport with these pitchers. And also being a veteran that is so highly sought after, so highly sought after, I'm sure that pitchers love to throw to him, love to communicate with him, and losing that in the middle of the season is going to be a big blow. You're calling up Rafael Marchand. He's going to be splitting time with Garrett Stubbs at the catching position, I assume, and they should now try to learn this pitching staff much better than they did before. I'm sure Stubbs knew it very well, being the backup there for a number of years now, but Marchand is going to be interesting to see. And losing that type of leadership, losing that type of guy who has such a connection with your pitchers is a pretty significant blow in the middle of the season. Now, they could look to trade for a catcher at the deadline, maybe some like Elias Diaz of the Rockies. He's really the only big catching name out there in the deadline. I mean, the Mets just DFA'd Omar Narvaez, so he could that could be a potential fit for the Phillies, even though he's kind of regressed over the past few years. But it's going to be very interesting to see what the effect is on the Phillies here, losing a guy as significant as Realmuto in the middle of the season. I think he brings a lot of value that isn't on the stat sheet, and it's going to be a very interesting situation now to watch. Looking at the other Phillies injuries as well, you have, of course, Trey Turner, who's been on the injured list for a little while now with, I believe, a hamstring strain. Not sure when he'll be back, but that's another big-time injury for the Phillies. Brandon Marsh has been on the IL as well for a little while now, so these injuries are kind of stacking up slowly by slowly. You're having Edmundo Sosa play significant minutes at shortstop. You're having some, not great players, but the outfield. So now with Realmuto being out, is your lineup going to take a hit? Are you going to be able to deal with that 7-8-9 being not the greatest? So it's going to be very, very interesting now to see what this Phillies lineup looks like, what this Phillies team look like without Realmuto, and how significantly they are impacted. I think this Phillies team has been so incredible this year. I mean, they really have been. I've ranked them as the best NL team in my power rankings last Friday. I'll probably be doing the same this Friday if everything sticks the way it is. But they're dealing with a little bit of challenges right now, a little bit of adversity for the first time this season, I'd say. Your starting left fielder, starting shortstop, and starting catcher are all out right now. Your starting catcher out for a long time. Probably the rest of the season. Your starting shortstop's going to be out for a little while as well. So it'll be very, very interesting to end up seeing how the Phillies do come back from this adversity, and if they continue playing like they were. I mean, again, they're still a fantastic team. Mainly the pitching staff is the reason I have been so high on them. I mean, this pitching staff has been absolutely incredible. I've talked about it so much, but I'm going to keep talking about it. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Spencer Turnbull, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, just so great. And yeah, this team's been absolutely incredible. And is your pitching staff now going to take a hit where you're not going to have Realmuto? You're not going to have one of the best framers in the league, one of the best defensive catchers in the league, one of the best game callers in the league. That'll be something I'm very much watching as we go for the rest of the season. And these are the things you have to look at when a catcher of Realmuto's caliber does get hurt, and a guy who is as respected in the league as Realmuto is. So again, this is all going to be stuff that I'm looking towards as the season keeps going on. And yeah, just really interested to keep up with it. Very interested to see what does happen with the Phillies. I mean, they have a very big stronghold on the NL East right now, but the Braves are the Braves. You can't really count them out. Are the Phillies, again, going to trade for someone at the deadline? Are they going to sign someone? Be very, very interested to end up seeing what does happen here, and I am really interested. Henry Avery in the comments, thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. If you have any questions you want me to answer in the comments, please let me know. I'll be happy to. But, yeah, overall, very exciting to see what will happen with this Phillies team. And again, adversity for the first time really all year. Very excited to see how they do answer back from it, and excited to see how the team deals with it. Again, I think Realmuto, as I've said a few times now, is a player that provides so much more value than what you see. You have to watch these games, see how he does impact this game overall with the pitching staff, to see really how much he does give an impact. I think that's really the same with all catchers. You know, we look at a guy like Martin Maldonado of the White Sox. Why was he the catcher for so long with the Astros, even though he was one of the worst hitters in baseball? Why did the White Sox sign him to a 2-year deal to make him their starting catcher? Because he's so good with pitchers, because he's great at defense as well. And, you know, he might be a horrible hitter, and at some points you might be questioning why he's the starting catcher, but pitchers love him. You know, and you look behind these numbers and you see why these catchers are so valuable. So overall, again, very interesting situation here now with JT Realmuto undergoing knee surgery. It'll be very, very interesting and intriguing to see how the Phillies do answer back from this, and just how the rest of their season goes. So yeah, I'll definitely be watching. We're moving into our third segment now, which is going to be talking about Salvador Perez and his resurgence season for the Kansas City Royals this year. So yeah, we'll be going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about Salvador Perez and his resurgence for the Kansas City Royals this year. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So when the Kansas City Royals signed Salvador Perez to a 5-year contract extension a few years ago, I, like a lot of baseball fans, was very wary of it. You know, a lot of analytical people in the baseball space think that Salvador Perez is one of the most overrated players in baseball. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, we talked about a different catcher last segment, JT Realmuto, and Salvador Perez kind of the exact opposite. He isn't the greatest defender, can't really frame well, isn't the greatest blocker. So when you're extending a catcher for a significant amount of time, these are things you want. And I understand the Royals at the time weren't the most analytically organized organization, but these are still some things you look for. So a lot of people weren't really big fans of the extension. I wasn't either. But Perez really has done an amazing job this year and has been absolutely incredible. So far, he has a weighted runs created plus of 137, which is really a huge change from the past few years, when last year he had an 86, a 106. So kind of 2 straight years of being injured and just not having the greatest stats. So he's really picked it up this year and done an amazing job. You look at the K percentage, it's way down from 23% to 17%. The walk percentage is up from 4 to 8, you know, doubled it, but still, Salvador Perez isn't a guy that walks a lot. We know this, not really what you're looking for. His ISO was up almost 20 points. You look at his WOBA, that's also way up, 6.67, it's up. So far, his barrel percentage is way up from 8.7 to 13.6. Hard hit percentage is up 4%. So he's really hitting the cover off the ball and has done really an amazing job with the bat and really been helping out this Royals team be much better than people thought they would be. Now, I was pretty high in the Royals going into the year. I did originally have them in my playoff picture, but thought better of it and didn't. Now, I wish I did have them in the playoff picture, of course. But yeah, looking at this Royals team, I mean, they're 39-28 right now. They're firmly in contention for that 5th wildcard spot. They are 11 games above 500 and have really, really surprised a lot of people. And I think Perez doing so well with the bat has really helped them with that. Now, again, he isn't the best defender or catcher, but, over the past few years, he's kind of split his time between catcher, first base, and DH. He's done a lot of first base this year, and the Royals recognize that, he isn't the greatest defender anymore, and we have better catchers like Freddie Fermin and MJ Melendez, so why play him a catcher all the time? Now, that's not to say he doesn't provide any value. Of course, like Hermuto, he's a leader in that clubhouse. We know that. He's a veteran guy. He's also a homegrown Royal who's won a World Series there already, and really is a face of that franchise. I mean, there's really not many OGs, quote unquote, left on that Royals team from that 2015 run. He's really the last one. So he's really the last part of that core, and should have his number retired by the Royals one day, I think, and brings a lot of value, again, I think, beyond the stat sheet and beyond the statistics. So him having a great season this year, though, just from statistics-wise, is also amazing. You look at this lineup, and there's a lot of good hitters. You have MJ Melendez, who I talked about before, Benny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia. You've also had Michael Massey not have a horrible season, Nick Lofton not had a horrible season, of course, the superstar Bobby Witt Jr. But you add in all that together, and you have this big power-hitting veteran in Perez, who really balances this lineup very well and is doing a great job for them. So overall, if I'm a Royals fan, I'm very excited with how Perez is doing, and he's just had such a big impact on this Royals team, done such a good job being a leader, helping them out with the lineup, and has just been a really fantastic bat this year and really has come out of nowhere. I kind of thought he was done after the past 2 years. Didn't really expect him to do this well, but hey, props to him. He's done an amazing job this year for Kansas City, has been an absolutely amazing player. And one question people have been asking is Salvador Perez a Hall of Famer? Now, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I kind of think this question is a little ridiculous, but I understand why people do think that he should be in consideration for it. I mean, at this point, he's 34, so he probably has, 2 or 3 years left. And you look at his career through a lens. You look at, full seasons of what he's done. He's done really, really well with the bat. I mean, he's had a 126, 114, 106, 161, 125, 137 now. A little bit of some iffy years in the middle, but still was a big contributor to those World Series teams. Is a World Series champion, was a big part of those teams, and, has brought a lot of value to this Royals franchise over the years. So I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's a Royals Hall of Famer, absolutely, just with him winning a World Series and him spending all this time with this team. But being a baseball Hall of Famer, no. And, I think that, again, this question is a little ridiculous, but people have brought it up, and I understand where they get the perspective from, but still, overall, I don't really get it. And looking at this Royals team, though, this year, their pitching staff has been absolutely amazing. Now, I was pretty high on their pitching staff going into the year, but I didn't expect it to be this good. I mean, it's just been absolutely insane. You've had Seth Lugo become a true AL Cy Young candidate. Michael Wacha has done a really great job as well, even with being on the injured list. Brady Singer has done an amazing job. Cole Reagans has really done amazing. Not as amazing as last year, but still a really, really great job. So, I think that overall, this Royals team has done amazing, and a lot of it is the pitching staff, and I think some of that could be contributed to Salvador Perez. Again, having a veteran catcher in there who knows how to call games is such an important thing. And again, Perez doesn't do much defensively other than calling games well. He doesn't frame well. He doesn't play defense well. He doesn't block well, but he can call a good game. And a lot of pitchers have raved about his leadership. And again, I think this is one of those instances of bringing more past the stat sheet to a franchise than what we see. So Perez has done an amazing job this year for Kansas City, has been an amazing player, and I think him hitting as well as he has been one of the reasons why Kansas City has destroyed a lot of expectation they've had for him, and also being a nice, steady veteran presence behind the plate has also been one of the reasons why this pitching staff has thrived so much. So I think that overall he's been a really fantastic player for this Royals team, and just has done a really, really great job. So This has been one of the biggest surprises of the entire year for me, just seeing how well Perez has done and how significant he has impacted this team. I think that this is a player who I'm watching for the rest of the year. Also another thing, this Royals team is 80% going to make the playoffs, I'd say. I think there's a possibility they implode, but I don't think so. And looking at this team, there's not a lot of veterans here, especially in that lineup. It's really made out of younger guys who are looking to be stars, and it's really only Salvador Perez and maybe Adam Frazier on this team that are significantly are actually veterans on this team. And Perez is the only one with true long-term playoff experience. This is a guy who has been to 2 World Series, has won one, and has been a big contributor on those teams. He will be able to help out this young team when they make the playoffs sooner rather than later, whether it's this year or next year. It's going to be soon. This Royals team is very good. He's going to be able to help them out, calm them down, tell them what to expect, and that's another part of this veteran leadership that, again, I think is so important with Perez. This pitching staff, it's younger with Reagan's, Singer you have there. Michael Wacha has had some longer playoff appearances with the Cardinals in his past. Lugo hasn't done that many great things with the Mets, never making it out of the first round. I don't believe he was on the 2015 roster. He might have been, and if he was, I got that wrong, but I don't think he was. So overall, I think Perez, again, his steady veteran presence is going to come in here. And tying it back to Realmuto, both these catchers, I talked about 2 catchers back-to-back, both of them bring a lot of value beyond the stat sheet because of the leadership you have to have as a veteran catcher. And I think that really impacts both these teams that have done really, really well this year and really have exceeded expectations. So that is our 4th segment here, talking about Salvador Perez and his resurgence for the Kansas City Royals. We'll be going into our 4th segment, which is going to be talking about Robert Gasser and his injury for the Milwaukee Brewers. So, yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So, thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our 4th segment. We're just going to be talking about Robert Gasser and his injury for the Milwaukee Brewers and the impact that it is going to have on their team. So let's get into it. So Robert Gasser, it was announced, I'd say a little while ago, that he had a pretty significant elbow injury and that there was going to be some checking out from a doctor about it, and the results really have not come back great. As we don't really know exactly what it is, but as far as we know, he's met with a few elbow specialists, which is never a good sign, because if you're meeting with a few, that means at least one of them, probably most of them, have said there's something really wrong and they should be getting a second opinion. So overall, Gasser was a really nice part of this Brewers season. Of course, wasn't a huge contributor as he just got up to the major leagues, but at the same time had done very, very well and was potentially going to become a big-time star for this Brewers team. Again, I had a segment on him when he first had come up. I was very high on him, and I really liked what he had brought to the table. So what the words from Pat Murphy, the Brewers manager, said was he is expecting him to be out for the rest of the year and placing him on the list of Brandon Woodruff and Wade Miley, both pitchers for the Brewers who are confirmed to be out for the rest of the year. I actually thought Woodruff had a chance of coming back this year towards maybe late September, but I guess not. Maybe they just don't want to risk it. So, yeah, that's a really, again, significant blow to this Brewers team. And as much as I've talked about how well this Brewers team has done with the hitting core, surprising me, doing very well with expectations. I mean, right now they're doing very, very well in the NL Central and in that division. I mean, you look at these standings right now, they're first in the NL Central by 7 games. And the Cubs are good, the Reds are good, the Cardinals are good, the Pirates are good. Not like these are, bad teams. So they've done it very well. As much as they are doing well, the pitching depth is scaring me a little bit. You, of course, have Freddie Peralta, who brings a lot of value to you as your top pitcher, but at the same time, I don't really know if you can withstand after that. You had him, you had Joe Ross, Wade Miley, Robert Gasser, and Gasser is done for the year. Wade Miley's done for the year, and you don't exactly have the greatest amount of depth after that. Looking at a Brewers depth chart per se, you aren't going to see the greatest names or the most significant names that are going to help out with this Brewers team. I mean, look at the starting pitching core. You, of course, have Freddie Peralta, who's done very well. Colin Ray, who's done Aaron Ashby, who also is Tobias Myers, who's You also have Bryce Wilson. D.L. Hall was also injured as well for the Brewers, who had done very, very well. So if I'm a Brewers fan, I'm very worried about this team and worried about this overall pitching depth. Now, we've heard that they have been connected to some starters on the trade market. We've heard actually Jesus Luzardo of the Marlins has been connected to the Brewers, which I think will be a very, very interesting trade. And I also think that he would be a great fit in that organization, as they know how to develop pitchers and could help him with some of the injuries he's been having. You have some good prospects in this farm system like Tyler Black, Jefferson Guerrero, Jacob Mizorowski. I would think you maybe would have to part with Black if you wanted to get Luzardo, so that would be interesting. But I'm not sure if his value is that high this year because of the way he's been pitching, but still an amazing pitcher when he's on top. So, yeah, the impact right now on the Brewers is pretty significant. I'd say that I was looking at Gasser as one of the biggest bright spots of this entire year for me for this Brewers team. And, yeah, it is really unfortunate with how they have proceeded this year. So, also what I want to think about is the impact on Gasser's future. Now, we don't necessarily know if this is Tommy John or if this is just some kind of elbow surgery again. We've had some players like Jonathan Loaizaga, Spencer Strider have elbow injuries this year that are not Tommy John. They're just out for this year and not next year. So maybe that could be a situation like here with Gasser. We're, again, not sure because we haven't had anything significant. And it's still a possibility that he pitches again, but it's very minuscule at this point. When your manager is saying he expects you to be out for the year, that's kind of it, I'd say. I don't really think that's something you take lightly. So looking at Gasser and looking at his future, I'm not sure what the impact is going to be. I mean, we've seen so many pitchers this year go down with pitching injuries. I mean, it's been insane. And Gasser is just the next victim. And with the way he pitches, I'm not sure how he's going to be able to come back from a long rehab or a significant elbow injury this early into his career. I don't know exactly his medical history. I'm not sure if he's had a significant elbow injury in the past as well. But yeah, it's something very interesting to follow here. And with this Brewers team, with this young core, I think Gasser is going to be a big part of it. And if he is significantly affected by this elbow injury in the future and for the rest of his career, it is going to be something that you kind of take a step back with and say, that really sucks. I mean, it really is going to be something that you're going to have to watch here for the Brewers. And yeah, I think that overall it is going to be very, very interesting what is going to happen here. And yeah, I think that it's something to watch, because I think looking at next year as well, when I think the Brewers really were expecting to compete, you slot Gasser into that rotation pretty easily. He's going to be one of your big arms. You know, David Stern isn't with the organization anymore, but he traded Josh Hader to get him. It's not exactly like he wanted to just get rid of the best closer in baseball. No, he traded Josh Hader because he loved Robert Gasser as a prospect. He also loved Esteury Ruiz as a prospect, who they then flipped to get William Contreras. So done a really great job with this team with that trade. But yeah, just Gasser was the top prospect with the Padres, came over in that significant Hader trade, and has been a player that Brewers fans have been wanting for the past few years now. So he's finally come up, done a very good job. And this is just a big gut punch here, and is something that is really going to have to be watched by the Brewers in the future now, and end up watching what does happen with him. So yeah, definitely we're watching him and his future and what does happen with him. I think that overall this is a big time storyline and something I'm very interested in. But overall, this Brewers team still having a really good season. Again, I love their hitting core. Jackson Churrio's done a great job. William Contreras has been absolutely amazing. We've had some contributors from other good young hitters as well, like a Sal Frelick. So I think overall this Brewers team has done really great. The bullpen as well has been amazing. Again, your rotation has been iffy, and now you're going to be a little tight on depth, but your bullpen has always been amazing. Even without Devin Williams, you have guys like Abner Uribe, Trevor Miguel, who have done really, really well out of that pen, and been a significant, done a significant job for you that has been really, really good. So overall, very excited if I was a Brewers fan about the future of this team. Even with Gasser being hurt, kind of a little bit of a gut punch, but overall, still excited and still think there's a lot to love here if you are a Brewers fan. So yeah. That is the end of our fourth segment here, going over Robert Gasser and his injury for the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going into our fifth and final segment, which is going to be talking about the most overrated player poll from The Athletic. This came out recently, and I did want to touch upon it and give my thoughts on the players up here. So yeah, we're going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, Sam. Bye. And we're back here for the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fifth and final segment for today, which is going to be talking about the most overrated player in baseball. Now, there was a poll done by The Athletic recently that polled a bunch of players on a lot of different topics. You know, what organization would you want to sign to the most? What organization you want to sign to the least? What ballpark is the best? You know, yada, 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 kind of things like that. They do this every year. But really, the most interesting thing I thought they did was who is the most overrated player in baseball according to other players. And this is the list right here. So I wanted to give my general thoughts on it. You can tell me if you agree, disagree with these picks, agree with my personal opinions as well. So yeah, let's get into it. So at first, getting more than half of the votes of the next person, for the Miami Marlins, Jazz Chisholm, he was voted as the most overrated player in all of baseball. Now, that's something that is very interesting to me. Do I think Chisholm is overrated? I think potentially with casual fans of baseball, he might be overrated. I see where they're going with this, as he gets a lot of press. He gets a lot of people talking about him just because of his personality, being on the cover of MLB The Show. So I do get why MLB players would say that he is overrated, but I don't know if I'd agree. I think, again, with casual fans, they might see him get talked about a lot in the media because of his flair, because of his personality, him being on the cover of MLB The Show, and think, wow, this guy's a star. But regular MLB fans know he's just a good, solid player. He's nothing really extraordinary. He's just a really good, solid player with a very high personality and having a lot of fun playing baseball. I have no problem with Jazz Chisholm personality. I think it's great for the game, and I think he does a great job being an ambassador of it, especially being from the Bahamas. There's not many baseball players from there, and I think he does a really good job bringing baseball back to his country and does a really good job as being an international advocate for baseball. So I don't necessarily agree with this, but I understand why he's here. I think reading the comments of this, it seemed like a lot of MLB players were kind of just butthurt that he was on the cover of MLB The Show. So that could be something potentially as the reason. But yeah, I understand where they're coming from. I just don't agree. Second here, we have Anthony Rendon at 10.2%. Maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, I would have said yes. But at this point, I think everybody knows who Anthony Rendon is. We know about the problems he has off the field with just not really caring about baseball. We know that he's not the same player he was with the Nationals anymore. We know his contract's an albatross for this Angels team. We kind of know this already. We know he's injury prone. He doesn't play much. And I think calling him overrated in 2024 is just kind of confusing. Every baseball fan basically knows at this point that he's not that good anymore, and that he just isn't really a great player. So I don't really understand this. I kind of think they're just living in the past with this one. Maybe there's jealous of his contract. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really agree with this one. Again, I understand where they're coming from with the big contract and, used to be a star and now kind of is bad. But same with Chisholm. I understand where they're coming from, but I wouldn't really agree. So yeah. Next, we have Carlos Correa of the Minnesota Twins. I don't agree, but again, I see where they're coming from. So Correa has had a really rocky second year with the Twins last year, not being a league average hitter, but his first year with the Twins was really, really good. This year he's been really good with the Twins, and of course in Houston he was a superstar. So he also plays amazing defense, is a true leader of the team he's on, a real guy who takes charge and is a leader of whatever organization he's on, represents it well. Of course, I'm sure some players still hold resentment for him for the trash can scandal with the Astros, but we're so much past that at that point. I mean, I'm so far gone, I don't even care anymore. So I don't agree because I think the statistics prove for themselves that Correa is still a really great player, but he didn't have the best season last year. The best season with Houston a few years ago. Didn't have the greatest season last year. Has injured a lot, but overall, I think when he's on the field, which is more than not. I mean, he gets injured sometimes, yes, maybe a little more than an average player, but still plays a significant amount of games every year, is still a really great player when he's on there, and I think that he overall is really, really great. So, yeah, I think that I still think he's a really good player. I don't think he's overrated. I understand where they're coming from, but I just don't agree. Tim Anderson here at fourth place tied fourth place with 5% now of the Marlins. This is the same thing with Rendon. Maybe a year, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe. But at this point, everybody knows Tim Anderson isn't that good. He's bad at this point in his career. We all know this. I don't really think that he's overrated because, again, I think he's properly rated because we all know that he's not a great player anymore. He had a really great run with the White Sox for a few years, was one of the best hitters in baseball, but has regressed at this point and is not that good anymore. So I don't really agree with this. I think that, again, they're kind of living in the past a little bit. It's 2024. We know that Anthony Rendon isn't that good. We know that Tim Anderson isn't that good. I don't really get it. Jack Flaherty is next, which seems like a very random pick. He didn't have some great seasons to end off his Cardinals tenure, yes, but wasn't great last year getting traded to the Orioles as well, but has had a really solid season this year with Detroit, has been a really positive contributor to that pitching rotation, to that younger team, and has done a really good job. I don't really see why Jack Flaherty is on this list. I kind of think this is just a really random pick. I don't understand it much, but yeah, I get it. Not really, but I don't know. It just seems like a really random pick. I don't know what Jack Flaherty's done to be on this list, but guess he is, and I don't really agree. Next is a very interesting pick that I want to talk about, Pete Alonso. Now, there's been kind of an Alonso hate train from not only Mets fans, but from a lot of fans over the past few years with his baseball play. Now, a lot of fans have disliked Alonso for off-the-field stuff because they think he's corny, because he likes to, he gets really into for the home run derby, and I guess gives corny answers in interviews, but I don't know. I just always thought that was reaching, but they think he's overrated here, and I think Alonso's kind of become underrated, to be perfectly honest with you. I think a lot of people think Alonso's still an overrated player and think that, we just talk about him because his rookie season and how amazing he was, and that, if he never won the home run derby, we'll be talking about him again. He's not that great, and I don't think Alonso is as great as we expected him to be. I mean, I know a lot of people, like myself, expect him to be an all-time great slugger. He isn't that, but he's still a really, really great player. I mean, you look at his stats this year, he still has a weighted runs created plus of 130. Last year was 121. Before that, 141, 131, 120, 144. I mean, you look at his home run total, he has 14 this year, 46 last year, 40 last year, 37 the year before that. So, that's 3 straight years of being close to 40 home runs. This year, he probably is going to hit 35 plus. So, he still hits a lot of home runs. He, does what a first baseman needs to do. And I don't really get this. I still think he's a really good player for being a first baseman. He doesn't really bring much outside of that, and maybe he isn't as great as we once expected him to, and maybe he has regressed over the past few years, but still, I think he's a really, really great first baseman, a really great hitter, and I don't think people kind of expect that. So, yeah, I don't really agree with this, and I kind of think he's becoming underrated with how many people think he's overrated. And it's interesting to see that his peers also think that. So, yeah, definitely very, very interesting. Next, we have of the Cubs, Cody Bellinger. I don't disagree with this, honestly. I don't think Bellinger's a bad player, but I think people think he's better than he is just because he had a resurgence year with the Cubs last year. I still think he's just an okay player. He brings a lot of value with defense, yes, but I don't really think he's that great of a hitter, and I think he's eventually going to regress. I don't really agree with this. I do agree with this. I don't think he's insanely overrated, but I do think some people overrate him a little bit for how good he is. So I would say, yeah, I think this is maybe the first choice I would definitely agree with. Again, I think Rendon, Correa, Anderson, and Chisholm, I all got where they're coming from with that. I just didn't agree. But Bellinger, I would say probably. Alex Bregman, again, I don't agree. I think he's a really great player, has had a really rough season this year, but has done better as of recently. And looking at his track record, is still one of the best third basemen in all of baseball. Is on a Hall of Fame track, I'd say. A really, really fantastic player. I just don't agree with this. I think Alex Bregman's a pretty amazing player, and yeah, I think overall he's one of the best third basemen in baseball. I don't agree with this at all. Yeah. Elly De La Cruz, that's a very interesting one. I think they're thinking this because, he had all this hype coming up. He had an amazing first few weeks, and after that's kind of struggled a little bit. And I honestly would actually agree with this decision. I think that Elly De La Cruz is overrated, but I also think it's okay for him to be overrated because of how exciting he is. I think just looking at a baseball sense, yes, he's overrated. But at the same time, he's so exciting and so fun. And there's a lot for growing the game of baseball with how exciting of a player he is. I just let him do his thing. Yes, his hitting stats aren't the greatest. He hasn't been the greatest player. Maybe has underperformed that top prospect label, but still, he's still a really good player, and it's not like he's bad. So I think I would agree that he's overrated, but I don't think that it's... But I think kind of just let him do what he wants, He's still a really good player. Manny Machado of the Padres here, I agree with this. I think he hasn't been the same player these past 2 years. I think he's definitely showing some regression at this point, and I definitely get why he is on this list. You look at his stats this year, they really aren't great. You look at them in the past as well, they haven't been amazing. They haven't been horrible, but at the same time, it's not really what you want from a guy getting paid that amount of contracts and getting paid as well as he is. So, yeah, last year was 114, this year 100. Yes, plays great defense, but that has also slipped a little bit these past years as well as he's getting older. So I just think this is kind of regular regression for him. But I do think at this point he is a little overrated, and I would agree with this pick. As I don't think you guys know this, but the Orioles jersey there is an old Machado jersey. I want to take a little bit of, differentiating teams. So I like that Orioles jersey there. So that's a Machado jersey. Just want to point that out with Manny being on this list. And finally, Blake Snell of the Giants. I would agree. When he's at his top, he's a Cy Young pitcher, but that's only happened twice. And other than that, he's been a very, very mediocre pitcher that is not great. And I get why they say this, and I honestly would agree. So I think this makes a lot of sense, and it's a good pick here. Now, there are some other players at the bottom who also received a vote. I can't read that, but I saw Javier Baez and Carlos Rodon. Don't agree with those. We all know Baez is bad at this point, and Rodon is also not great. So, Rodon's actually pretty good. He's had a pretty good season, so I'd surprise he's underrated at this point. So, yeah, what do you guys think about this list? Most overrated player in baseball? Tell me in the comments, tell me in the chat. I am about to sign off, but if you want to tell me quickly, we can get into a little bit of a conversation about it. But yeah, I thought it was a very interesting list. Some valid points, some players I agreed with, some players I just kind of thought were random, and some players I wholeheartedly disagreed with. So, yeah, that is it for our show today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to not only get notified when I upload, but when all the other great content creators on this channel do. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. It's a beautiful day outside. Enjoy it. Have a great day, and I'll see you at Baseball Thrills House tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet.